Are you looking for an updated tutorial of how to generate real estate leads using Facebook? If so, this is the video you're going to want to watch. I'm going to share with you a brand new updated video of how we use Facebook to generate real estate leads right here in 2023. Take a look. Hey everyone, Kevin Smullin with 2Q Lead Generation Strategies. If you are brand new to our channel, welcome. What we're all about is helping real estate agents just like you generate more leads, set more appointments, and close more deals, primarily using social media. So if you're interested, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We'd love to have you here as part of our community. Now, before I get going in today's video, the tutorial, down in the description below, you will find a link to our 4 pillars video training. These are the 4 pillars, the 4 critical elements to help you succeed using social media with marketing your business. So it is absolutely free. Make sure to go take a look at that. Now, in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is how to use Facebook ads for generating leads in the real estate industry. I normally do these videos about once, sometimes twice a year, kind of updated as Facebook updates their screens. And I had somebody ask me in the last week, hey, do you have an updated version? Some of the screens have changed, and I said no. And as I thought about it, perfect opportunity to do an update. So normally these tutorials are a little bit longer just due to the nature of it, but I am going to give you a detailed walkthrough of how to do this. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And once you're here inside the Ads Manager in Facebook, the way that you do this, you're going to click on the green Create button. It's going to ask you what your objective is. In our case, since we're running a lead generation campaign, that is the option that we're going to select. And we're just going to hit Continue. Now, at the top, as always, the ads process is broken into 3 steps. So the first step here is the campaign objective. The next one is the ad set, and then the last one is the actual ad. So we're going to go through all 3 of these screens. The first one in the campaign's name, this is where you would give it a name. So a lot of times I'll just use the address or MLS number. So I'll just do 123 Main Street. And then I normally put lead gen on it. That way I can tell which one are my lead generation ads pretty quickly. I know it's going to be labeled that way in the objective, but that's okay. For special ad categories, since we are in a regulated industry, in the real estate industry, you do need to have this, or if you don't, your ad will get rejected every single time. So I am going to select housing for that. It is going to more than likely default to the United States if that's what you're at, but if you need to change that, feel free. And then everything else I don't touch. I'm going to leave it just as it is. So I'm going to go to the next section, which is our ad set. So this is where we're determining things like our advertising budget, the schedule, the targeting, the placements. All of that is part of the ad set. So this is, if you've never run a lead generation ad before, that's part of the reason I kind of selected this. So I'm going to, here in the conversion section, I'm going to use instant forms. And what's nice about instant forms is when people click on the ad, there will be a lead capture form that pops up. I don't need any special software. I don't need anything separate. I don't need landing pages or anything like that. But that lead capture form that pops up, it'll pre-fill with all the information that's in their Facebook account, which more often than not is correct. And so it's a nice little benefit. I specifically use this account because I've never run a lead generation ad on this account before so that you can see it. But if you've never run it before, it's going to say that you have to accept the terms and conditions. So you're just going to click on View Terms. You're going to say, I agree. That takes care of that. Right? Okay, so our objective, our performance goal is we want to maximize the number of leads that we're generating. This is the page that I'm going to use for the ad. You just want to make sure that this is pointing to the page that you want to use for marketing purposes. And then the cost per result, I leave that blank. I don't touch that. I'm just going to let the ad run. Dynamic creative, I don't touch that either. Budget and schedule, this is where you're going to put in whatever budget you want. So oftentimes when we're running lead campaigns like this, it does vary a little bit based on your geography, based on how your real estate market is performing. But a lot of times with buyer leads campaign, which is what I'm going to be showing you, a lot of times we're generating leads for around $2 to $4 a piece. So in this case, if if I were to be spending around $10 a day, I'd probably get somewhere between like 3 to 5 leads per day. So use $2 to $4 as a good measurement as far as how much you want to spend. The minimum is $1 per day. That's the minimum ad spend, and then I don't know that there is a maximum. I've never seen it. So if you want to test the maximum, go for it. But I've just never seen that. So anyway, dollar is a minimum. $2 to $4 per lead is typically what I see. Sometimes slightly higher, like I said, just depending on the property you're marketing or just what's happening in your local real estate market. So it's going to automatically default to right now when I'm setting this up. Just so I don't run into any issues time-wise, I'm just going to put that a couple hours in the future. And then I always put an end date because I don't want the ad to run perpetually. So the ad that I'm going to show you is where we're going to be using a specific listing. We're going to be marketing that with the intent of getting interest from people who are potential buyers. So when I run an ad like this, I'll normally run it for 1 to 2 weeks. And so, as a starting point, I'd probably go 1 week out, and then I'm just going to put it like 10 o'clock at night. So basically it's going to run for a full week. So basically 7 days at $10 a piece. That ad is going to cost $70 roughly, the way that I've got it set up. Now for the audience, when I'm doing a lead generation ad, 99 times out of 100, the audience that I'm going to be targeting is going to be people that are new, people that have no idea who the agent is that I'm setting this up for. So I don't use custom audiences because I want to use Facebook's targeting mechanism and go out and target the people that I'm after. So under the location section, I am going to click on edit. I want people who live in this location. So it defaults to this, people who live there or who were recently there. And the problem with that is if you leave it on this one where it says people recently in the location, you're going to be picking up people in your targeting who were visiting a family member, or they were just there on vacation, or somebody went there for work, or whatever the case was. And so that's not who I want to be targeting. I want to target the people that live there because they're the ones more than likely that are going to be interested in the property that I'm marketing. So you can pick the city. If you pick a specific city, it will do a default around that. A lot of times, unless there's a compelling reason to do something different, I will pick the city where the property is located, and then it'll do 15 miles around that. If you know that your target audience is just outside of that, you can adjust the radius, or you can also kind of pick a point. So I live in a city called Logan, Utah. I'm going to use that as the targeting. So see how it picks Logan and then does a 15-mile radius around that. Again, you can switch it. 15 is the minimum, but if you know that there's people 20 miles out, then you can change that. Or the other option is if you want to target something completely different, or kind of move it a little bit, there's this option right here where it says drop a pin. And so if I do that, I can pick, let's say this is more where the population is and I want to do 15 miles from that. I can just click and drop that point. And so now I've got this longitude and latitude coordinates, and it's doing 15 miles around that. So I can leave both. I can get rid of one of them if I want to. Just a couple different ways of doing it depending on what makes the most sense for how you're marketing, right? One of the ways that my clients will use this, let's say, for example, I've got a client who lives pretty close to the border of 2 different states, but he's only licensed in one state, he or she. I said he because I've got one client who is in that kind of a situation, and it is a he. But what we do is we just kind of pick an area that's still in the state that he is, so that the outer rim is kind of hitting the border between the states, and that way we're only targeting basically people in the state that he wants to be in. So anyway, a couple different ways of doing it depending on how you want. So since we are in a regulated industry, when we select that the housing special ad category on the first screen, the age is locked in. We can't change that. Same with gender. All of that is locked in, and we're not allowed to target that because that's discriminatory. So detailed targeting, we can change that. So a lot of times when I'm doing a buyer ad, I will target things like people interested in Zillow, people interested in like realtor.com, people interested in things like Trulia, because the thought process is if they're going to these sites, if they're interested in those things, the likelihood of them being interested in a home that I want to show them will be fairly high. So a lot of times that's what I'm doing. You can also, once you've put in a couple of these, you can also click on suggestions and it'll give you things related to that. And if you like some of these other ones, you can go ahead and select those. Over here, based on how I've defined it, Facebook is telling me that the people who fit my audience is going to be between 60 to 70,000. There is no magic number as much as people want to tell you. It's always going to vary. But an audience this size, 60, 70,000 people, that's more than enough people to run an ad to, so you're going to be totally fine. And then the last section is placements. So placements is where we're telling Facebook where we want the ad to show up. I never leave it on Advantage Plus placements, even though that's what they recommend, because some of the places where they want to put my ad are places where I don't want my ad to show up. So I never use that option. I always pick manual placements. If you want to run it on Instagram, that's great. If you want to do it on Facebook and Instagram, you would just leave both of those checked. Audience Network is the third-party websites where Facebook buys advertising spaces. 99 times out of 100, I turn that off because I just don't like not knowing where my ads are going to show up. So in most cases, I turn that off. Now, the rest of this is just showing you individual placements in the feeds. Now the feeds are the primary section. So when people are scrolling through Facebook, when they're scrolling through Instagram, this is the main section where where the ad is going to show up. So 99 times out of 100, again, you are going to leave the Facebook feed and the Instagram feed selected if you're running ads going to both platforms. The marketplace is kind of the classified section. I've had decent luck with it, so a lot of times I leave that on. The video feeds is the ad that shows up in the middle of somebody watching a video. Most people hate that, so I usually turn that off, especially if the ad I'm running is not a video. I turn that off. Instagram Explore, again, it's one of those that I've had decent amount of luck with, so I'll usually leave that on, as well as the Explore Home. And then the Facebook Business Explorer, I generally turn that one off. Stories and Reels, again, since this is kind of static content, a lot of times I'm turning that off. In-stream, I always turn off. Search, I've left it on and had decent, it's kind of like 50-50. Sometimes I leave it on, sometimes I leave it off. You can kind of test and monitor and see where your results are coming from if you want to do that. But if you only want it to show up in the feeds, there's nothing wrong with turning that off. And then I always turn off in article. So again, the majority of the placements that I'm using are these ones right here in the feeds section, which is where the majority of people are going to see your content anyway. So if you are that far, we've now finished the ad set as far as determining budget, schedule, ad targeting, and placements where we want the ad to show up. The final section is the ad itself, the ad content, where we're creating the images and the text and everything that goes with that. So in the identity section, it's going to default to the Facebook page that we selected earlier. And then if you select Instagram as a placement, you will notice that there is a section here to point it to the Instagram account of your choice. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use the one that's right there. Now, for the ad setup, you have an option of creating an ad or using the Creative Hub mockup. You cannot use an existing post for lead generation. This is a question I get all the time, is they'll say, Kevin, I've created a post on my page. I want to use that to generate leads. Sorry, you can't do that. When you select lead generation as your campaign objective, it forces you to create an ad. You can't do it off of an existing post. So you're going to leave create ad on there. Multi-advertiser ads, I generally turn that off, right? Now, when you get to the ad creative, the first section is your image. So I'm going to click on edit media because I want a new picture. And if I back up one step to the add media section, there's an option here to upload. And I've already prepared an image. This is an image that I used from Canva. And if you're familiar with Canva, I do all kinds of tutorials on Canva and show you how to create this. So for the sake of today's video, just speeding this up, I'm just going to use this image. I'm going to leave it on the original dimensions so that it looks as it should. And then right here, it's beginning to show you a preview of what that ad's going to look like. So I'm giving them a few pictures of the home to kind of get them excited. And that's part of this process. Now, for the primary text, here's, again, I want to save time, so I'm not going to do this. But the first line is my headline. So this is where I'm giving them something that's really going to get them excited about the property. So stunning single level home in blah, 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 right? I don't know, whatever. Some kind of headline that's just going to get them excited. I'm then going to give them 2 to 3 lines of information about the home, right? Because again, I want to give them enough to get them excited, but there's specific information I'm not going to give them, such as the price, the address, and other photos besides what they see right here. So the price, the address, and the photos are kind of that carrot that I'm dangling in front of them to get them to click on the ad and fill out the lead form. It's kind of this thought process of if I give them everything, they have no reason to fill out that lead form. Okay. And then after that, then here I'm going to be putting in the compliance information. So in most states, there are certain things that you have to put in the ad to be in compliance with your local real estate laws. So the most common one being your name, brokerage, and then sometimes some states require your license number. So if that's a requirement of your state, it's not a big deal, just put it. And then lastly, if you are using a listing that is not your own, it's always good advice to go get permission. If you're not marketing your own listing, just get permission. Most agents are going to be like, yeah, go ahead and market my listing and try and sell it, right? In most cases, they're going to be fine with it, but just get permission. And then we normally just put a little line at the bottom that says listing courtesy of, and then this is where you'd put the agent name with, and then the brokerage name, right? And so again, that will keep you in compliance. So everything from here up is all marketing. Everything from here down is all compliance. Compliance is one of those things that is so simple and it's so easy to be in compliance that frankly, there's no reason not to be in compliance, right? Just for the sake of finishing this up, just so you can see what's going on down in this corner, I'm going to turn off my camera for a second. Oh, I guess I'm not. Never mind. Okay, so I guess I don't quite have that set up as I thought I did. So now that I've got that done, the last part is the headline, and the headline is going to show up right here below the photo. So my normal headline is click for price, address, and photos. So you can kind of see that right here, right below the image, just to the side of my picture, where it says click for price, address, and photos. And the button here says sign up. That's this call to action. And I don't like sign up. That intimidates a lot of people. I prefer learn more. It's more warm, more inviting, just easier for people. So you can see how it changed that learn more right here. Click for price, address, and photos. And so my ad is set up once I have put in, the correct information about the home. And then the last step is creating the form. So the form is the lead capture form that's going to pop up when people click on the ad. So what I'll do for this is I normally call it the address. So 123 Main Street. I'm going to leave it on more volume. And I'm going to go to the intro. So you're going to see right here in this preview, we're building out the lead form step by step. So I'm going to use the image from the ad as the background. I'm going to leave it just like that. And for the headline, I'm going to put click for price, address, and photos, right? That's my main call to action. In the description, I find that this space is totally unnecessary. You have to put something. So I normally just put lines like that. so that it looks something like that when I'm done. Now, if you want to put some text there, feel free, but that's just what I do when I'm setting up my ad. The next step are the questions. So you'll notice with the questions, this is where we're collecting information. So with the questions, I go to the pre-fill questions. In the description, I'm going to put fill out the form below to see the home information, because this is going to show right at the top of the form, right? So I'm just going to give them instructions, fill out the form below to see the home information. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now it defaults to name and email. I like them in a specific order. I like to have name first, so there's just these dots where you can kind of click and drag and put them in the order you want. Email is next, and then I'm going to add a category with contact fields, and I'm going to add phone because I want to have their name, phone, and email. And you'll notice when I do that, it adds phone number right here to the form. So again, what's nice about this is you go to your when people click on the ad and the lead capture form pops up, all of these fields pre-fill, and it's literally just as easy for them to hit the next button to go through and submit the form and get the home information. It makes it really, really simple. So that section is done. The third section is privacy policy. So this is where you're basically just saying you're not going to sell their information, et cetera, et cetera. So for the link, this is where you would put a link to the privacy policy on your website. And the link text, I'm simply just going to put, privacy policy. So where would you get the link? Well, if you have your own website, which a lot of people do, so I'll go to somebody's website just to kind of show you. A lot of times on your website, right at the bottom, there's this button right here that says privacy policy. So I would literally just go and take this link, and that link is going to go right there, right? Because that's going to tell people what's going to happen with their information, and Facebook requires that you put that. Now, if you don't have your own website, what do? Well, your brokerage more than likely has a website. Go to their website and get their privacy policy. Works the same way. A lot of times your MLS in the local area, you can go to their website and grab their privacy policy and put a link to that. Again, there's different options, but you just have to have some privacy policy with a link on some website, right? Those are probably the three most common options: your own website, your brokerage's website, or your MLS website. Okay, so that's all I do there. And then last is the confirmation. So when they submit their information, this is what they're going to see. So the headline that says, "Thanks, you're all set," I generally leave that there. And then in the description, I'll normally just put, "You can see all the home information by clicking on the blue button below." Right, so when I say the blue button below, it's this one right here. I'm going to leave the call to action button as view website. I'm going to put a link to wherever the property is. So let's say that this is the property I was marketing. Then I would take this link right here, and that is going to go right there, so that when they click on this button, they're going to go get all the home information that I promised I was going to give them. And then lastly, I'm going to change this text so that it doesn't say view website. I'm just going to put click here to see the home information, right? And so here you can see the preview of what's going to happen every single step. They click on the ad, it's going to say click for the price, the address, and the photos. They're going to hit next. That's going to pull up this. It's going to pre-fill their information. They're going to hit next and see the privacy policy. When they hit submit, it takes to the confirmation screen that says, "Hey, you're all set." You can click a button here below, and then this button will take them to the website that gives all the information that we promised. So I'm simply just going to hit the publish button. That creates the form. And so now you're seeing over here in the preview section, you're seeing the ad that we created, as well as the lead capture that we've created, right? So right underneath my picture that I can't turn off is a button. It's green. It says publish. When you hit that button, That sends the ad to Facebook for their review. It becomes a live ad. And since this is not a real ad, I'm going to stop right there. But that is how you create a lead generation campaign to generate buyer leads, right? I wanted to make sure it was updated for right now, 2023. The date of this recording is February 9th. And I wanted to make sure people had an up-to-date tutorial on that. So that is how you would go about creating a buyer lead tutorial or buyer lead lead generation campaign using Facebook and Instagram. Now, a couple things. Number one, once that is submitted and Facebook approves the ad, that's when the ad starts running, and assuming you've done a good job, leads will start coming in. The problem is Facebook doesn't have a lead notification system, so you will not be notified as leads come in, and that's where you're going to need a program. I use Zapier. I've never known how to say it. Zapier. Zapier.com. It's a paid service, but what it does is it basically acts as a link between two systems. So I can specify and say, every time a Facebook lead is submitted, do this with it, right? And it could be send an email, it could be move it into a lead follow-up system or a CRM. Again, there's lots of different options as far as what you do with the lead, but that's how I automate it, is I use that program to get the lead data so that my clients are notified of the lead instantly. We have our own lead follow-up system that we use at that point to help start going through the leads, qualify that, and turn that into some kind of an opportunity or an appointment for the agent. So be aware of that, but just realize the mechanics of how the lead or how the ad is set up. I've shown you that. There's just more to it that it would take way more time, and I just don't want this video to be unnecessarily long. So you can go check out other tutorials that I've got on how to do that. And that's that. So that is an updated, like I said, version of how to generate Facebook leads for the real estate industry using Facebook ads. So if that was helpful, take a split second, click that thumbs up button down below. We appreciate your support. That is just a signal to YouTube that says that you like the content that we put out. And so if they see that a lot of people like that, then they recommend it more. So taking that split second helps us tremendously. We appreciate that. Also, if you want to get more tricks, more tutorials, more ways like this to grow your business, then click that subscribe button. There's also a bell right next to it. If you click on the bell, you'll be notified every time we put out brand new videos, and we do quite a few of these every single month, so make sure you check that out. Also, if you're interested in our done for you services, where we do all of this and much more for you, make sure you go check that out. There's more information about that down in the description below. So that is it. Make it a great week. Keep crushing it in your real estate business. As always, if we can help, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you on the next video. Take care.